It's also on the multi-tool as well. Let's just raise the roof, shall we?
And the environment shifts and changes as we're moving it.
So you got a model and then like a simplified collision model, tools that could fit in someone's hands.
Hey everyone, welcome on into today's stream. Nice to have you all here. For today's stream, you guys, we're going to be doing a Q&A as well as an interview of our content team that we have here, which is going to be quite exciting. So to give a realm of introductions, would you guys actually like to just introduce yourself? You can come up right to the camera. It makes it easier to, you know.
Hello.
Hello. But yeah,
I'm
you can
Rue.
go first.
I do 3D modeling, textures, stuff like that. This is not all of the content team, obviously, but some of us at least.
Yeah, a few individuals with us today.
I'm Aegis, and I also do a lot of 3D modeling, animation, and a whole bunch of design stuff alongside the content team.
Hello, I'm Chroma. I do a lot of the marketing, design. I did a lot of the icons. I work on the website, do some brand design, and work with the content team whenever they need me.
Thank you so much for the introductions. And if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Nexalin. I also work together with the content team and do out all the media side of things, streams, and anything that is into relation to media. I kind of would like to start it off right just by asking you guys, what is the content team for Resonite? Would any of you like to answer that?
So, to kind of add on to our introductions as well, a lot of the work we do kind of bounces around depending on what needs to be done too. So it kind of explains what the content team is. There's like the marketing side of things where making posters, ranging from things that you post on socials that also goes under your realm or you help manage that, help set it up to like icons, graphics, to setting up models for renders for like posters or promo art, to making the content in here in the first place, making like stuff like the pieces to make this world that we're in, to make the tools that you use to build this place, or for anyone else to really build their own stuff, for even creating the stuff for the chat as well to get that set up, and a whole bunch of
Even some of the UI,
content.
like the dash,
Yes.
Absolutely, and the content team really spreads out onto all of these sides for Resonite. If you guys can see, we even have this beautiful skybox where it's completely dynamic. We can change it with the sun, moving it around and about, and the environment shifts and changes as we're moving it. Oh, it's so dark in here.
Spooky.
Now, a tidbit about the skybox is how it was made. It wasn't using the default skybox that you would use in Unity that also is used in here, because there's parameters in there to change like the atmosphere and all that. But the thing that it doesn't really have is like the way to change the colors dynamically properly. So what we did is we used a gradient skybox and used a whole bunch of gradients to kind of custom tune the skybox's color.
It seems like we could probably take right now a couple of questions from our viewers. And Fur is also asking, is it possible to put in prefabs? If you're meaning Unity prefabs, this wouldn't be a possible thing, but you can put in any object file, any 3D model. We accept all different types of file types, if that's what you were meaning.
In regards of like assets themselves, the raw assets you can bring in here, but in regards of prefabs, I believe that is something that can be possible in the future.
And our next question that we have is from It's Alpha. Are you, as a team, developing more pieces and furniture to the Dawn set? Yes, the Dawn set is constantly being added items-wise. Ryuvi is one of our main individuals that have been creating out different pieces for the Dawn set, and has even created out such a nice miscellaneous tool that's in the Resonite folder that allows you to snap these pieces together very efficiently. why don't we kind of like show that off of even just this environment that we're in right now? Do you have that tool? There we go.
It's also on the multi-tool as well. The multi-tool, if people are wondering where it is, it's under the tools folder and the essentials under miscellaneous. Let's just raise the roof, shall we?
Yeah, raise the roof too. It works as well.
Okay, I'll just go into no clips so it's easier.
Some of these might be baked.
Oh, yeah, that might be the case. No?
Because it's
no.
there you go.
Yeah, these ones are still in pieces.
Okay, I can't really move them because they're not grabbable, but I can snap them onto other pieces. But as you can see, this entire place is built into different modules.
I would actually love to show off the tool designs and ask a question about it over here.
Oh, you should bring in a screenshot of the periodic table of tools.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
While I'm spawning out tools, would you be able to bring that out for us, and then I can kind of ask our question. Now, I
think
really
that was
want
just
to show
concepts.
off each one at a time, just because I want to ask, how did the content team go about making such unique tools? Because these tools right now are very much into what the ideas and kind of concepts are for what exactly the tools are used for and what they do. So would you like to kind of talk about each one as I show each one off?
So, to kind of preface the design history of this, originally we were trying to design tools that could fit in someone's hands rather than just a tool, like a tip.
That's it.
Yeah. So, I'm wondering, like, how would I design these tools inspired off of real life tools, while also making them work in here, and also, of course, within the art style as well. And it kind of evolved into, if people wanted to have like a tool where they can hold in their hands. I've seen this with multiple games where they have like a modular tool, or even in real life where you can like take off the screw head, put in a different one of like a power tool, and you'll be able to use it. So I was thinking like a ball and socket kind of approach where you got like a main tool here, kind of like a parent tool, and then the child tool that you snap in.
Yeah, and I can see with already the choices that you've made are very even similar to real life tools, like such as the measuring tooltip that we
Yep.
have here. It almost looks like a measuring tape tool, but has it into the Resonite style.
Yes.
And also right over here we have the tools set up on our website that Chroma has built out for this kind of display. Absolutely, so you can check that out on our website. Chroma has been doing an excellent job for adding in a really great amount of visuals and different styles to improve our website out greatly.
Now the story behind that page is you wanted like icons in general, and then I started just laying them out to kind of like organize them randomly, and I'm like, hey, it kind of looks like a periodic table. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it's the periodic table of tools.
How about we get back into answering your guys' questions, and we can answer a few. So Emergency says, is the Dawn set going to have different themes? I think this is a really good suggestion of like having these different themes. I think Rayuvi was talking about possibly having different set pieces, but the nice thing is that even Aegis themselves, or even really anyone that's doing 3D modeling on for our content team, could make out possible different themes. I think that is a really interesting thing. But
Yeah, I could do new textures and stuff. Like, it'd be neat to have holiday themed textures like Christmas, Valentine's Day.
yeah, absolutely. LM is saying, how many vertices should I keep in the scene at maximum?
Somewhere around 5 to 10,000 is probably fine for the object itself.
Yeah.
You can have a simplified, like, say you got a model and then like a simplified collision model underneath it.
Yeah, like a lot of the pieces that the building that we're in right now, they wouldn't be considered low poly, but they don't have that much of a performance impact because they don't actually have colliders. There's just invisible, simple colliders that are allowing you to walk on the shapes here.
So instead of using mesh colliders, use more collisions that are box or vertex
Like
sort
a
of
bunch
colliders.
of simple colliders, yeah.
Simple colliders, and not having too many pieces in the environment. A little bit more questions for the content team. How does the content team approach the development process for creating VR content from concept to completion?
To add on to also how you approach a project to even for optimization, because this is what usually we do. We start with one word: scope. This is important. Scope defines like what do you all want in a project, like what kind of main goals you want to do in here, and that can determine how you focus your project on certain things. Say if it's a game, for example, what are the mechanics? What is the intended game loop? Or if it's a hangout world, what kind of features do you want in that world? That's how it starts out. And then from there on out, you kind of list some wants and needs, and then you kind of do what you can on the needs. Sometimes some of the wants are like really easy to add in.
I was going to say something else that also helps out is like when you're starting, say, like a world project, right? You're trying to figure out how you want to build it. Best thing to do is just get a bunch of cubes, cylinders, and just white box it. That's what it's called. And make the whole thing out of cubes and spheres, and then go through and start, like, seeing what you want. You can even do like different levels of detail with those boxes. They can either represent rooms or whole buildings. We do similar stuff whenever we're making maps, like when we're making this thing or other projects.
So we got another question here in chat. Emergency says, what are each of your guys' favorite things that you've worked on in Resonite?
I guess I would say the home here is like working on the textures, the furniture and stuff was fun. Trying out different styles and whatnot, especially compared to some of the other stuff we built. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Chroma, what about you?
Just doing some like the community marketing photos was fun. It's not that overly complex, but it's kind of a fun experience to like show off a bunch of creators in that light and like what they've made.
Do you actually have some pictures that you can possibly show of that? Because they do look really cool.
Yeah, I can pull a few out here. I think coming up, the one that's going to be enjoyable again is we're starting up the recap stream. I think that'll be a fun kind of project for us all to work together and make a new set for.
Yes, so from what Chroma just said, we are planning on, in the beginning of next month, bringing back recap streams. These are going to be a great way for you guys to know what exactly is going on in the development process, and you can actually even ask our coders, or really just generally all people on our team, what is happening with Resonite. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be happening next month. While Chroma's bringing those in, do you have any favorites that you can think of, Aegis?
I would say the interactable things within the tutorial and the home world, like the bow and arrow, the crossbow, the little flying toy that are modeled.
Yeah, those toys and gadgets are really awesome. And these were the images that Chroma took that they were talking about. So you can see they got some individuals from our community, and these are posted on our website as well.
Yeah. And which is a good opportunity to say too, if you have any content that's all original, and you would like to grant us permission to showcase in our marketing, feel free to reach out.
Yep, and if you ever want content featured, we have a specific channel on our content side for our Discord, discord.gg/Resonite, and you can even submit content that you want to be featured, whether that be a world or an avatar or items or different stuff. Can you provide an overview of the content team's workflow and the tools you commonly use, i.e. software, something that wouldn't be Resonite related that you would use outside of Resonite?
Definitely Blender and Substance Painter.
Yeah, those are the number two things Yes.
Yeah, and Blender and Substance Painter are wonderful softwares, and then Chroma, on your side, you have also some softwares that you use, right?
Yeah, I mean, my soul is eternally bound to the entirety of the Adobe suite.
Yeah, and that's the huge benefit, is that we have these other softwares that can immediately bring in this sort of content, have these sorts of things inside of Resonite immediately. We're not having to go through the middle process of game development, such as using a different type of game engine, because Resonite in itself is a type of game engine that you can build and create collaboratively all within the space, which makes it so powerful that we can even take those concepts, immediately bring them in, and then have a good idea of whether if that's right or not. And just to have that level of collaboration, it's unlike anything else.
Yeah, sometimes when we're building worlds, and like when we were building a lot of the furniture in here too, I'd be sitting here and Aegis and Ryuvi be in the world, and I would bring in the model, we would throw the textures on it, they would set it up while I'm looking at stuff in Blender, and they're like, oh, hey, can you change this here real quick? And then, I'll just go in Blender seamlessly, do that change, and then like import it super quick. Like this workflow for Blender and Resonite's super fast.
So our next question that we have here from Emergency is, how much of your guys' workflow is in versus out of Resonite itself? That's a pretty good question.
That is a good question, because it bounces between back and forth sometimes, constantly.
Yeah, it depends on what we're working on. Because, like, the first half of the project could be mostly Blender and Substance Painter. But then once we have those objects and we know we're done with them, say, like, the assets we're standing in right now, the modular pieces, once we were done making them, the workflow changed to mostly Resonite, because we just had to use those pieces to build out the space.
Yeah, I would say on my part, I would say around like 75% plus using Resonite, and then the other portion of going about work-wise outside of it.
Yeah, mine fluctuates. Right now it's mostly outside of it, but I'm usually just like hanging around in the public world in just like desktop mode.
It looks like we have a question right here. So Black says, what language is Resonite built on, and what does your team look like? Everyone working on staff from home, or do you have an office? We do all of this from home. Would you like to answer the other question, Aegis?
Mainly in C#. There are, of course, like a couple other parts of the app that is built on other different languages, but it's mainly, for the most part, C#.
Angel was also saying, I would like to know, are each of you aware that you are cute? What's the response on that one, everyone?
Yes.
And my final question is, what is the future plans for the content team, and how can our users provide feedback to the development process? So, what do we have? Chroma.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll repeat the question. What is the future plans for the content team, and how can users provide feedback to the development process?
There are definitely more tweaks we want to do with the current content that we have in regards of like the building or the modular set, updating the tutorial, and some other projects as well as we go on.
Yeah, and if any of you guys also have feedback for this development process for the content team, we do have a GitHub, so please be sure to use that GitHub and kind of direct it towards content if you have any like ideas. But on that note, we will end off the stream. Thank you again so much to Rue, Chroma, and Aegis. If you guys haven't already, please join our Discord, discord.gg/Resonite, if you want to learn more about Resonite. As well, thank you so much to all of our Patreons. Please, if you haven't become a Patreon yet, please become a Patreon here for Resonite. And if you're watching this in the land of YouTube, click on the subscribe button. It helps us to where not only you guys can see the type of content that is out here and exists here inside of Resonite, but it also helps it to where new people can also see those videos and check out what Resonite is about. So thank you again very much, everyone, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
See y'all. All right, I gotta run a meeting.
Yeah, I got you as well, and I got to get you back.
Yep, that's what happens. Everybody Everybody just goes off to work. Yep.